Sir, my name is Suman-Online. My roll number is 412680.
So this is focusing on analytical question.
Yes.
So let us so basically the topic is planning to bring some amendments to the Workers Act. Are you aware of it? First, tell me what amendments and what necessitated amendments to the Workers Act. Secondly, what is your opinion? Do you feel that this act should be amended?
Sir, about the recent development about the Waqf Act is that the government is telling that the sole proprietary of the Waqf board above the lands of the Muslim people should be under the purview of the Supreme Court and even the government itself. In my opinion, the amendment is actually a good thought process of the government, as it brings uniformity in action regarding the land rights that is currently present in India. Sir, secondly, yeah, as the supreme interpreter of the Constitution, Supreme Court should also bring under its purview the actions of the Waqf board, as it would ensure the independence of judiciary and a common base for judgment that is to be, or justice that is to be provided to all the citizens of the country, including the Islamic section.
Okay. Do you know
Sir, the meaning I'm not able to recall right now, but the powers is that the land that comes under the jurisdiction of the Waqf board is to be decided by the Waqf board itself, and there would be no interference from the government or the administrative section regarding the decisions of the land that the board takes. This much I know as of now.
Okay, fine. So, what is your opinion about uniform civil code? You are saying that it should be implemented, and if you can tell us what you know about the observations of Supreme.
Yes, sir. The Uniform Civil Code is a code that needs bringing together all the religious groups under one uniform law, so that the justice dispensed is equitable in nature to all the sections and the religious communities of the country. As per the Supreme Court, the country as of now is not that much ready to accept the Uniform Civil Code, as there are many provisions in the Hindu marriage law and Hindu laws and in the Islamic laws, and so as also of the other religious laws. Now, there are two states that have successfully tried to implement this, starting from Goa, then another one is Uttarakhand. Now, what we can gather from their implementation of UCC is that they have taken the UCC in a consensus basis. They have not tried to merge into or interfere into the laws of the Hindus or Islam. Rather, they have tried to find a common ground between both the laws and have tried to implement UCC as per it. And in my opinion, in India, there need to be a modified form of UCC that caters to individual religion without affecting the equitability of the law that is to be given or justice that is to be served to various sections of the society or various religious communities. In my opinion, that is.
What in case there is a clash between the religious laws? For example, bigamy is allowed in Islam.
Yes.
But it is not allowed under the Hindu Marriage Act and the Hindu laws. Similarly, other religions are also there.
Yes, sir.
So how are you going to solve these kind of issues? Or another issue is the property rights for daughters,
Yes, sir.
which is quite equitable in case of Hindu law, Hindu Succession Act.
Yes, sir.
So a Hindu father is self-acquired property. If he has a son and a daughter, he has to divide equal
Yes, sir.
as per law.
Yes,
That is not the case in Islam.
yes, sir.
Okay. So how are you going to convert these fundamental differences? For example, there is a daughter of a Muslim man who goes to the doctor and says that I need equal share of my father's self-acquired property. Then what happens? How are we going to solve these kind of fault lines?
Sir, firstly, we need to build a awareness among the people. There need to be the right use of social media for spreading the awareness among the people. Secondly, we can give example of Saudi Arabia, where the Islamic laws are changing according with the time. Now, as Saudi Arabia is the generation point of the Islamic culture, it can have a positive impact on the Islamic society. Thirdly, after a common consensus has been built among the people, awareness have been created, the government can also go for a feedback mechanism where it can bring in certain laws that are not implemented, rather provisions to be mentioned in the laws in the public platform where people can send their feedback. Then lastly, we can appoint an expert committee consisting of religious leaders along with experts from the religious backgrounds, those who can interpret the books or the laws in a proper manner, so that there is development in case of the Muslims, there is development in case of the Hindus and also other religious sections. And finally, after the consensus of both the religion have been met, the issue that women empowerment should be kept in mind. Thirdly, there is equitable distribution, as we should also remember that in the modern society, even if it is bigamy, even if it then talks about bigamy, Islamic religion, but in Saudi Arabia, they have implemented the policy of monogamy. There is a most of them are following the principle of monogamy. Now, monogamy can be that idea of monogamy can be installed or instilled in the minds of the Islamic people of India. And finally, we can bring in the UCC, as we have that platform of bringing in UCC in the DPSP. And finally, we can implement those laws. As and in case if that girl also comes for asking for the property, in that case, I would first make the family aware of the situation. What are the requirements of that property for the girl? We can build a consensus between the family of the girl and also the law. And finally, we can provide justice and women empowerment to the girl.
Okay. So let us come to another important issue related to pensions. So can you compare the old pension, new pension, and the newly notified unified pension scheme, and which among these three schemes is the best and why?
Sir, as per the old pension scheme, there was the provision that the employee would be getting the pension on a monthly basis for as long as he lives, and if any dependent of his also there, the 50% of that pension that he was receiving would be going to that dependent. Now, as per the new pension scheme that was launched by Sir Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the new pension scheme had a provision that of giving a lump sum amount to the pensionee. Now, both these had their certain positives and negatives. The positive of the old pension scheme was the pensioners were much more benefited, but the negative was it had a fiscal deficit issue with the government. In the new, there was fiscal prudence for the government, but the pensioners were demotivated as they would get a lump sum, and there was no provision of getting a salary each pension each month. But the new upgraded pension scheme, the UPS, Unified Pension Scheme, has the provisions or the positives of both. It prudence, and also it provides the same way of providing monthly pensions to the pensioners, thus satisfying both government as well as the pensioners.
Over many states, we have seen that your state governments, many state governments are resorting to police, which are causing lot of what do you think that some states are
Yes.
what is the opinion of these police schemes?
So, the current political scenario, as India is a welfare state, politics and the politicians and the legislators, they tend to provide welfare schemes for the people. Now, this has turned into a populist scheme policy for the vote bank politics. The steps that we can take to ensure that the state remains a welfare state, but the populist schemes are reduced, thus reducing the fiscal burden, is number one. Understanding the demographic of that area. Secondly, doing a economic census rather than doing the normal census. In economic census, we would be able to know the exact beneficiaries, those who need the provisions of the populist schemes or the welfare schemes. Thirdly, a fixed amount that is to be provided to those schemes to be determined by the Finance Commission and experts in the economy, so as there is no fiscal burden on the state, plus the welfare schemes are well addressed. And finally, there should be a transparency maintained in the public platform regarding the schemes and where the money is going, so that in case if there is a chance of corruption or there is a chance of vote bank politics, it can be easily reflected and can be easily addressed.
Okay. So so you agree with this Subhadra scheme which is going on in Odisha? Similar schemes will be beneficial in any way?
Sir, the mandate that Subhadra scheme provides is very necessary for women empowerment. Now, the mandate is of providing 50,000 rupees in a direct benefit transfer manner in installments to the women women of the household of the country in between 21 to 60 years old. This would ensure that they have an opportunity to invest in their own entrepreneurial activities or something they do of some activities of economy that they do to generate income. And in my opinion, the government has also established a feedback mechanism that is to be undertaken by the district administration, so as to make them so as to ensure that the scheme is implemented, and what is the mandate of the scheme is seen through, because it is essential that even if you are giving a welfare scheme, but if the motive of the scheme is not reached, then it would be a problem for the government itself, because it is as the scheme is a financial scheme, so it would increase the financial burden. Now, there are certain issues, maybe of the rising prices because of the liquidity of money that is in the market, but the government also must ensure that the price available is spent for the meant purpose, so that the inflation in the market doesn't take place. So this is my view on the Subhadra scheme.
Okay. So the government is also considering recently the government has, the cabinet has passed the one election, one nation, one election
Yes.
proposal. So what is your opinion? Will it be possible to carry out such a huge election uh, simultaneously in all the states?
Sir, as per the one nation, one election, that Mr. Ramnath Govind, ex-president, under his chairmanship, has provided the report regarding that, and the government is trying to implement that. There are pros and cons to this. The pros being that there will be a simultaneous election, there will be no lag in the governance, and the elections, as the election will be completed within a stipulated time. And thirdly, there will be less fiscal burden on the country itself. But the cons that comes to this is that the ECI does not have a secretariat to address all the issues regarding the one nation, one election. Secondly, there is chances of the national mandate of the national party overshadowing the local parties. Thirdly, the armed forces that are reserved for conducting the peaceful election will be stretched during the process, and India at this moment doesn't have a sufficient strength. So, in my opinion, what the government, as the government has planned, it is very good. We can go ahead with this, but with certain steps that are need to be implemented to ensure that this process goes in a smooth way. Firstly, there should be amendment in the national emergency provision during this time. Secondly, there should be amendment in the anti-defection provisions too. Thirdly, there should be a coordination between the state election commission and the central election commission for conducting all the elections, even at the local level and at the state level. And finally, the time period of both the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assembly should be brought into a common cycle. Otherwise, there would be implementation issues. And finally, we can always appoint an expert committee regarding this for a better implementation of one nation and one election.
Okay. So suppose you are appointed, okay, for execution of development projects in a backward district and central district. It is the great project of the chief minister. That area should see the task so you are another colleague is there for the last 6 months. As in the capacity of involvement of the same and any development project has now you want to have many development projects. You have given the companies that come and approach you and you are willing to start it, but you see that in every time you make a proposal, it is shot down or it is objected to by your colleague. Okay, in the name of environment and environment protection, and people are opposing it. So how are you going to ensure that your projects will go ahead smoothly? At the same time, the environmental aspect is also taken care of.
Sir, may I ask a question? Sir, am I close to the CM or I am going through a channel?
It is you have been asked to execute the project.
Yes, sir.
The project for the project execution, one of the first things you have to do is to get the clearance from the environment department.
Yes. Yes.
The officer will tell the environment department for every project the person is saying that no, this one and that. The thing which should have completed in let's say 2 months, it is taking 6 months to do for the next step. So there, what are you doing? So that because of that, the other investors and the companies, they are looking at other states or other districts.
Yes, sir.
the operator will come.
Yes.
So that is what I'm going to how you will solve this problem. Get more industry into your area. And the market also at the same time you also preserve the environment.
Yes, understood, sir. Sir, firstly, as the process is being delayed from one front, that is from the environmental front, it is my duty to have a one-on-one discussion regarding this with my friend and my colleague in that department. Secondly, after understanding the issue, I can also go for a third-party conductions of environmental impact assessment of the projects that have been implemented, which would be much more transparent. Thirdly, after the environmental impact assessment and after coordination with my colleague in that environmental impact assessment department, I would go for certain modifications that can be done to the project without hampering its productivity, without hampering its financial gains, plus not its sustainability, increasing its sustainability, so as the clearance would be available much quicker. In the meantime, if the environmental parties, the organizations that are involved are getting impatient, it is my duty to address their impatience and make them understand of the delays and ensure and provide them ensurement that yes, the projects would go on smoothly and they have to trust on the government. Finally, if the issue still lingers, I will have to address this to my senior authorities to report it to the Chief Minister himself, so as a valid course of action can be pointed in the direction.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So suppose you are in charge of an important project. That project is going on for around 10 years and different officers have come. So once you take the charge, you find that previously lot of financial papers and calculations, a lot of mismatch.
Yes.
Okay. The person who was in charge before you is one of your mentors. Let's say in the preparation you are taking his help or something like you have very close relation with him. Okay. And obviously because now you have taken charge and on an internal audit you find that these problems are there. In that case, what are you going to do? What steps would you take? Will you just try to somehow settle it, or you will take the process and inform your higher authorities officially regarding it?
Sir, as the post expects a system of integrity and honesty from an officer, it is my utmost duty to ensure that first, even if he or she may be my mentor or someone who is known to. So firstly, the step I would take is conduct the audit in the sincerest way possible and find out if there is mismatch and where it has come from. I have to also find out the source of the mismatch. Maybe there is a information deficit problem, whether my mentor has received malinformation regarding that the information turned out to be there was a mismatch, or there was a genuine part of him in doing that mismatch. And after that, I can also consult other senior officials regarding this matter, and for the time being, keep that matter within the inner circle so that the transparency and the faith of the people over the department remains. And slowly, I would try to eradicate that problem through the necessary possible steps. And as for him, as I have reported to the senior officials, they would suggest the adequate steps that should be taken to the person. If he is innocent and there is an incidence of malinformation, then the step would be that cautioning that person and then telling him that there should be no further problem in that, and you should be more watchful regarding that. And if there is a chance of corruption or there is a alleged corruption against him, then necessary stricter action should be taken so that it becomes an example for the other officials or the officials of the department not to be indulged in such type of malpractices.
So, how will you ensure that there is good communication, camaraderie, and other okay in your office, and your colleagues, and especially your subordinates who are going to work with you as a team? What steps will you take to in a government system? Okay, for example, in private, corporate, lot of things can be done, which you cannot do here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what are the steps that you will take?
Sir, firstly, if the office environment is little bit dull or there is some irregularities in the office environment, I would first of all find out the issues that are prevailing in that department. Secondly, there would be, I would set up an internal council for consulting with the members, those who are facing those challenges, so that they can get an adequate information. Thirdly, I can establish a WhatsApp group wherein any problem relating any department or relating any situation that the official members are facing can be shared, and it will be under my purview so that I can have a 360-degree view about the situation that is occurring in the office. Fourth step I can take is celebrating the festivals with the officials together, as of the national festivals or even the festivals that bond us together in the locality, so that there is a bonding that develops between all the members for a cordial functioning of that area. And finally, a feedback loop where I check the CSR reports of my colleagues, of myself, and try to develop that atmosphere where we support each other in the growth of each other and have a cordial working environment so as to better serve the public.
Suppose you are from one region of the state.
Yes.
And you are posted in another region. Historically, due to various reasons, there is some kind of a bad blood between these two regions. And when you are posted in the other region, there you see that the public generally and even the subordinate staff, they treat you as an outsider. Okay. So how are you going to adjust to it?
Sir, first of all, if I am new to that area and I am transferred from one part of the state to another part, and there is a language difference or there is a cultural difference, slight cultural difference, then first of all I have to adopt to that cultural difference. Because once I speak their tonality, I speak their lingo, I practice their culture, it is easier for a civil servant to mingle with the people of that area, because they also accept me as someone of their kin. Secondly, I can also have one-to-one interaction, conversations with my colleagues, so as to have a friendly chatter, friendly relation with them, because they are the ones that are going to support me in my endeavors in that area. Thirdly, I can also arrange for the community meetings wherein I go and talk with the public itself, so that the public also gets that he is someone who is here for us, he is someone who will act on behalf of us, and he is the bridging gap between the representatives and us. Once I gain their trust, I can easily perform my duties in that area.
Okay. So that will be the end of the interview. Yes. Now coming to the feedback. So more or less, it is most of the questions you are able to answer properly. So not much factual questions. Analytical questions are there. Situation reaction. So it is fine. Improvement, what you can do. I think you are following the template, you are giving the answers in points. Okay. It is, of course, not always, but sometimes the expression on your face is little bit animated. Okay. More than sometimes. So that
Yes. Sir, actually, I was feeling thirsty. I was feeling thirsty. That's why. Yes, yes. I said that lip movement means I was
not lip movement,
facing.
expression also.
Yes.
Okay. So that okay. Then you will be having water.
Yes.
Okay. So if for marks, I will give you around 160 for today's interview. You try to even push it further. 160 is not there, but still there is scope that you can go to 180, 190. Okay.
Yes.
So, any questions you have? You can ask.
Sir, about that office culture, what would be? I thought.
Government office basically there are a lot of restrictions. You cannot do the same things which you can do in the corporate office.
Yes, sir.
So first thing is that, like you said, regular meetings can be.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so maybe whatever the meetings can be, and over some tea and snacks. Okay, that can be done because that is food is one of important you can say bonding factors in many organizations or many people. So that is one thing. Then what is the problem? Like there's a opinion. You can ask anyone's opinion and please give them a patient. So at least that would be bosses listening to us, or he's asking us to contribute in this process.
Yes.
In many brainstorming and other things are there, which may not go to the topics. Okay. So those things can be done. Okay, where they feel that you know they are important, their views, opinion are being taken seriously by you. Okay, so that will be important, and then slowly they'll be starting to contribute. Okay, everyone will be contributing in the office work. Okay.
Sir, was my answer regarding the region difference appropriate?
Yes, regional difference. Like first thing is that you have to learn their language. Okay, cuisine. This is the first thing. Like it's all India service officers wherever they are posted. In their training, they have to learn the language.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then you have to see the how they dress, how they eat. Okay, so the best way is that you adopt the same whatever they are doing. So
Yes.
that will be they'll feel that you are one among them. Okay, so that helps a lot. Then traditions also, like the best thing is that the local DT. Okay, so if you go and pray to the local DT, you get information about the customs. Okay, and you try to do the same. Then acceptability.
Yes.
Okay, those things.
Sir, and last question, sir. Sir, the one where I asked about the connection with the chief minister, whether I would be directly reporting to him or to the senior authorities through the senior authorities, was it apt or should I avoid that type of question?
If you clarity on the question, normally you will assume, okay, generally when we are supposed to ask them is if we are unable to understand all whatever they said was inaudible or it was incomprehensible.
Okay, sir.
Okay, what they said very fast, I could not understand. Then I'm asking you to repeat.
Okay, sir.
Okay, or what is this what you meant?
Yes.
Okay, but going to depths of the and seeking more details about the question cannot be exactly what you know, the-
Okay, sir. Yes.
so that you have to keep in mind.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
And a little less head movement, sir.
Natural head movements you cannot do.
Yes, sir.
So where it is more than required, then
Okay, sir. Means,
take it so much.
okay, sir. And that would be revised through practicing in front of the mirror.
Yes, yes. The more you practice,
If that movement would have been in my controls, and what range of marks would have been getting?
no. Generally, it won't result in a reduction of marks.
Yes, sir.
Is that because trying to
Okay, sir. So my posture, sitting, and all those. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.